Okay, my name is Brant Hunt. Today is the 13th day of October 2020, and I'm dealing with a subject which is a thorough subject, a deep subject. It's called What is Love? What is Love? Love. We talk about it a lot uh, around us when we're in conversations with people or they're talking about it on the internet. You know, the issue of love, and a lot of it has to do with a man and a woman. There's nothing wrong with that at all. But I'm going to deal with simply is that in an area with all people. And I think this is going to be crucial because I've actually watched another particular video last night from a young lady. Her name is Ashley. And I see what see how do you deal with certain people. In other words, she deals with a different group of people who have issues, and obviously she's gone through a lot in her life. She's gone through the same thing that a lot of other people are going through. A lot of it has to do with trauma, how she was treated by somebody else. But I think what's critical of what she shared last night, I was listening to her as she was sharing, um, was that I sensed it simply is that it's easy for us to judge someone by the cover of the book. If we see something that this is the way we are, I'm just going to be straightforward here. We do judge the book. We don't judge, we judge the cover of the book. We don't judge the person as being someone. And it's easy to write people off. It's easy to actually to have excuses that actually seem legitimate. It is also easy to think that these people just have psychological issues and that's their problem. They grew up in a bad family. So what's new? You see. And so we actually refuse to actually love people like that. And there are very few of us who've actually gone through what others have gone through. And she's gone through trauma in her life, and as far as I can tell, simply is that um, she's had to go through a lot of shit, a lot of shadows. When people project upon you, the way people can use you. So see, this is deeper. And so, for me, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychological major. I never was involved. I took one class, and I think it was, and I took one class in sociology in years that I was in college. In the years that I was in college, psychology was simply a BA degree. It wasn't a BS degree as it is today. And I know I'm not in favor of that neither. I really don't think psychologists know what they're doing either. I think they're just as mixed up as everybody else is. I shared last night a particular book that was recommended to me. If I can get it out here. This is a book right here. Bats in the Belfry by Ellen McCrae. An older book, I think it's written in the early 60s, as I recollect. Basically, she was warning people. she was warning people basically to profiling how people act or react in certain instances. And so the book deals with how the psychological field is expanded. And when she was doing this stuff, the degree in psychology was not a BS as it is now. The disturbing trends of mental health. I do believe that basically we live in a mental insane asylum here in this world. People are crazy. But the reason why they're crazy is because so much trauma has been done to them, and so they don't know how to handle it. So what I got in adjust to what she was sharing last night, it stood out to me, was that how do we love these people? These people are hurting. And what are we doing about it? So I'm looking at it in again, this particular way of looking at it is looking at it as, okay, we've got a problem. We've got a problem at the top. We got a problem at the bottom too. But the problem at the top is the scary part. Now, she didn't touch about that, but I will talk about it. The problem at the bottom is simply, what I'm talking about simply is those that are actually been through trauma and are in trauma and struggling. What I'm talking about is those who claim to be the professionals and know what they're doing when they really don't know what they're doing. They've just been told certain things and they go along with it. And it's become more and more involved in people's lives. It's been scary in a lot of ways. And I actually have been through some things myself. So I know that the people at the top got some problems. They got too much power. When things go wrong in somebody's life, they expect you to, quote unquote, act normal, which I'm trying to figure out what is normal. If certain traumas happen to you, so to speak, say, for example, if a woman gets raped, she's just supposed to act like that's just a standard thing that happens every day? No. But that's how they're wanting you to be geared, so you never show any emotional response or anger or hatred or despair or depression. This is what I'm sensing, that people who are hurting are not getting the care. They're not getting anything. And so for me, simply, I don't know enough about psychology, but I know that simply something's rotten at the top. Because they continue to change the updates and what is sane and what is insane. And what they're doing, they're broadening the horizon here. So they're making it a bigger circle than it was before. See, it may have been this small, and now it's become much larger. And when people act certain ways, we can call them. We didn't have a psychologist, I should say, at the high school when I was at there. We had a counselor. We didn't have a psychologist. They do have them now in schools, if you're not aware of that. And so if your child acts a certain way, it doesn't respond in what they call a category type of deal, they may take your child and ask more questions and probe where they really don't have their business to be probing in. You see, that's where you need to be alarmed at. That's why I say you need to take your kids out of the stinking system. So these are people who've been trained to see that your child is acting abnormal. And if that child is acting abnormal, they can basically give it drugs to deal with the side effects, or they see as the side effects. You see, this has all been recommended at the very, very top. The hierarchy, those who really want to have control of society. This also may explain some other things. So I don't know when. I graduated high school in 1978. There was no psychiatrist there or psychologist there at the school. Counselor was there basically to deal with what I call making sure you get the right classes and what you want to do when you leave high school and go to college. I never had that happen because I came there in the 10th grade. I came from a private Christian school and they didn't know where I fit because I took different courses in a private Christian school and they had to figure out which ones would be accredited and which won't. And I moved from the state of North Carolina to the state of South Carolina. And so they gave me credit for certain classes I took and then certain ones they did not. Which is fine. I understand that, but the point simply is that they didn't know where I fit in. And so that didn't allow me to come in at another year earlier, or maybe the 8th grade, so that I could actually know what I'm going to do, or have they can schedule me to certain classes so I can meet those expectations. And that was readily available. That changed really quickly when I was in college, and I was required to take 2 semesters of a foreign language. I didn't take any foreign language in high school. And so I think this was my freshman or sophomore year. I think it's my freshman year, and that was my advisor gave me to take 2 semesters of classes in foreign language. And the classes that were offered there were French, Spanish, and German. And so I took German. I didn't want to learn French. I had no desire for that for sure. And I didn't care for Spanish simply because I didn't care for it either. And since my background was German, I decided to take the German language. It was one of the hardest semesters I've ever had as a student, being in a class, trying to learn a foreign language that met 50 minutes each, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You see. And I didn't do well. But my professor understood me. He was a German professor, actually from Germany. And everybody in the class that I was in had taken German in high school. So I was already behind the 8 ball. Now, why do I say that, such and such, and why am I sharing this? I'm sharing it simply is that to do with counseling and such, and there was no such a thing as psychology taught even in high school where I was at. So going back to what I was saying here simply is how this whole system is being built, and this is what this book is explaining. How mental health is being used to put people away. They don't fit in. What right do you have to tell people if they fit in or not? If they're not harming anybody or themselves, why do you see you have the prerogative to interfere in their lives? You see. Very controlling type of mechanism here. I've been through something of that nature. And I'll tell you what, it's a joke. It's a sad joke. It's a way actually to put people in a position that basically they may never get out. And it gets money from the federal government, and it gets money from the drug people, doctors, not doctors, pharmaceutical companies, which is what they want. They want people to be behaved. We want them to be calm. We don't want them to get upset, but we don't want them to be depressed, We want them to be kind of just right. And so what I'm gathered and gleaned from what she was sharing last night was that we need to stop judging and start loving, and to love others. Love those who actually, what I would call untouchables, because nobody wants to mess with them, you see. And she's right. Very few people want to do that, because most people don't understand what's going on, you see. They think that the medical establishment or system is beneficial. But is it? I don't think so. I think it's detrimental. I think sometimes people could actually somewhat get themselves out of it better than actually be given drugs. Now, there may be people that do different with me, and they have that right. They're different with me. I just see a control deal here. But I also see what she was sharing, something was to do with the love issue, to have compassion upon people. I think it's key here, I think this is very important, what I understand, is that just spend time with people and just listening. Develop what I call the ability to listen and build what I call relationships with people who are going through a lot of shit. Some of this trauma goes all the way back to their childhood, where parents weren't what I call very lovable to their kids. Well, I see it. I've seen it. I see it sometimes, not every day, but I have seen it. How parents do treat their children and use extreme, sometimes not violence, but just words that basically are not positive for any child. And when you tell the child it's stupid all the time, they're going to believe you see. And it's not right. I've seen it with my father too. My father would tell my mother that she was stupid too. Got a lot of insecurities there my dad had to my mom. I'm not saying my mom is perfect. I'm just saying it simply as my dad did these things. And I was like, you got a problem here, Dad. You really do. But I didn't know how to handle it. Kids, children don't know how to handle it. I don't know what to do. And I was talking with someone else today. Had a good talk with somebody. And I think the key is simply the opportunity to love people is still here. And there are a lot of hurting people out here, folks. And I've helped people on a physical deal. In other words, I've helped people with help just basically giving food. Or if they're out of a job, I haven't hired anybody. I have given some money to people to buy food if they needed it. I've taken a different view of that. I grew up not giving people money. I would actually, and I've done this. I've taken people to a restaurant and basically paid for their meal. In a simple example of caring about them, but that's just one meal. You see, you usually have 3 meals in a day, so that's just 1/3. And as situations are worsening around us in our society, in our economy, there are going to be more and more people who have no jobs and no money and not be able to take care of themselves. And I'm not talking about older people, I'm talking about younger people. And the system has worked very well for those at the top. And those at the top are going to pay. They're going to pay hard. Karma's coming. And it's coming big time. This shit's going to stop. It's not going to no more. No more mercy. No more grace. It's karma time. And those who've done people wrong are going to pay a real price. And they're going to pay for it. And what they did to others. Because the age of Aquarius is about justice. It is about who has done wrong to others. You see. But I was talking to another lady today, and what was really neat is she said basically the same thing about who Jesus was, his ministry. We didn't debate if this was real or not. That's not the point. And I've always looked at in the past simply as Jesus being my Savior. And that's how the church has used people to be fooled. No, it's Jesus is an example. He's an example of how you're supposed to treat other people. You see. The church has kind of screwed that up, turned it upside down. And they did it on purpose to keep people brainwashed. So she talked about love and how we're supposed to, and love doesn't come from the head. Love comes from the heart. Your motivations to, let's say, we've had some really great talks. This individual is I've never met anybody like this in my whole life. Truly. I've never met anybody like this. And she's a female. She's a woman. And I'm impressed, more than impressed. That she was talking about a lot of things. So she's helping me to see things as simply as that. Living in the now, not living in the past, not looking in the future. This is how we waste our lives. We are either depressed about our past or we're fearful of the future. And so what happens is you never do anything in the present. You see. She's told me a lot of things. Very wise person. And she's younger than me. And one thing that stands out to me is that she doesn't take money. She does it from her heart. I've never seen a person like this. Never. I never have. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying simply the person is real, authentic. I had some conversations with another female. I've had some close friends that I have in my life that I'm close to, and and mainly because of they being women. No, I'm never married to any of these women. Okay, um, but there's a lot of maturity there, and a lot of love there that the world needs. It's helped me. This particular person I've talked to has made me see some things differently than I have even the last 3 or 4 months of my life here. And we are good friends, very good friends. I I respect her a lot. She's got a good heart and does it. Her motivations are right. I have never met anybody who does that. I met others who come close to that, yes, but I've been impressed with this particular lady. And why am I sharing all this? Well, part of it simply is it's something I'm learning. We all can learn something from somebody else, you see. She's able to read people through her heart. It's not through other tools, which is beyond me. Although I can see where she's coming from, I can see that basically that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Makes perfect sense to me. And so I've kind of digressed in some ways here about the whole issue of psychology and counseling. But in reality, she's been kind of counseling me too, you see. And again, I was talking about the other lady I was listening to last night on YouTube live. There's some good things happening. Some encouraging people, especially women, who are actually picking up the ball and running with it. I'm not saying that men aren't neither. I'm just saying simply these are the two people I've just listened to and talked to in the last 24 hours. And it's helped me to see certain things, my strengths and my weaknesses as a person. I think what people see with me, and I didn't realize this, and I'm not going to go a whole lot in this, but my personality is that I come across as being very strong, aggressor, personality-wise. And I am. I'm passionate about what I do and what I stand for. That's who I am. But it takes a lot out of me to do those things too. It takes a lot for me to pick up the ball. Because I haven't had what I call very favorable responses in the past. And so I've kind of backed off, you see. And I need a good friend, and I've had some good friends, and I still have a couple good ones. I haven't met many men in developing friendships with. I feel that women have I think they're sharper. I think they sense things far better than men do. I'm not saying men can't do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying simply what I've experienced so far is that basically women have got good hearts, and yet they can lay down the law too. Okay? So they're a balance. They're not all, all over the place. No, no. So, so with that, and I think what I'm pretty much sharing here simply is that what is love? I've experienced that from someone, a dear friend, and I've experienced it before with another dear friend, and both being women. And no, it has nothing to do with romance at all. It has to do with simply loving me as a friend and communicating as a friend. And that allows for them to share where I need to work at and to encourage me. And I have no problem with that. So I hope that this has some meaning for people out there. And I would encourage you to look into Ashley Aurora, I think it is. She's on YouTube. She's much younger than I am and a lot better looking than I am too. And but she's got guts. She's got a lot of guts. So I encourage you to look into her channel, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you.